Welcome back into the Rowdy Studios with our special guest, Matt Crossmant of Sporting News. My name is Bass Masters. That's Buzz Cutler. We're talking NASCAR. We're talking Dale Earnhardt Jr. You wrote an article about Jr.
I did. I went out and hung out with him out at his Hammerhead Entertainment Studios out in Mooresville the other day, and talking about his resurgence this year, what's behind it. It's really quite remarkable.
Before we get to that, I might understand that you helped Jr. correctly pronounce the name of a company he was doing an ad for?
Strangely enough, they were filming ads inside the studio, and they came out, and there's people talking about how to pronounce this particular company's name. And I said, seriously, is that what you're asking? Because I've eaten there a dozen times, and
so you're like the dialect coach for Dale Jr.
He's like his crew chief on the shoot.
They were on the phone with the place, and that's how I heard that that's what they were talking about. So I said, oh, yeah, you've got it right.
Well, you had a chance to talk to Junior about his resurgence this year, and there's no doubt he's had a great season, especially compared to the last 2 years when he was suffering. You asked him about his relationship with Steve Letarte and what the difference was. Here's what he had to say.
I think that all the credit has to go to Steve Letarte. The only change that I've made is going over to that shop to drive their cars, and so I have to give him all the credit for the team that he assembled. The guys, the way he motivates his guys, you know, everybody plays a hand in your success, the team's success. But I mean, he's the main piece of the puzzle for me that I think makes the most difference for me this year.
So Junior, he puts it all on Steve Letarte, this resurgence.
Yeah, that's completely true and completely baloney at the same time. That there's no question that having Letarte around gives him more confidence and makes him happier. But he also deserves some credit, though, for being more confident and happier. I mean, he's still the one driving the car.
Could you pinpoint, or did he point out, what Letarte brings to the table that Lance McGrew or Tony Eury Jr. didn't? What the difference is?
He didn't say that, but it's pretty clear the difference is Lance McGrew is a good crew chief. There's really no doubt about it. But it's a difference between, like, the head of the chess club and the head cheerleader. That Letarte's a cheerleader, Lance McGrew is not, and that for Junior, that makes all the difference. I mean, confidence to him is everything. Whether he thinks his car is fast or slow, he's right.
And he did talk about a different approach. He said to you that last year he'd go to the racetrack, he kind of already felt beaten.
Yep.
I don't feel as stressed when I go to the track. It's a big difference. I used to feel before I got to the track I was beaten before I got there. You know, I was just stressed out and I take as much responsibility as I deserve for how I've performed, good and bad, over the years. But he's made me a much better race car driver than I was last year.
You looked at some statistics as well.
Yeah.
And one of the things you pointed out to Junior was, dude, last year you were 70th in closer was the stat you looked at, which is cars passed in the last 10% of the race. This year he's 5th.
Yeah. And the year before, he was dead last. And the year before that, he was 1 from last in closer. And it's incredible. In 2009, he lost, I think it's 3-point-something positions per race. And this year, he's gaining 2-point-something positions
in the last 10% of the race.
So that's like 210 positions over the entire season. That's the difference between a good season and a crummy season.
And it's interesting, too, because there are guys actually that were behind him in that stat last year that had good seasons. Yep. They were just up there so much that they ended up losing a little more than they gained, but they were always running in the top 15. That's another interesting stat that you look at for Dale Earnhardt Jr. If you start looking at this loop data, and I know you did for this article, percentage of time spent on the lead lap, Dale Jr. leads this series. He's been on the lead lap more than any other driver this year.
Yeah, and that's all about consistency. And I think another measure is his average finish is the best of his career. I mean, I was stunned to see that because he had a year with 6 wins, and he's finishing more than full position better than that year, which is that's striking.
So is your impression, it seems like kind of what you're saying.
I don't do impressions.
You don't do impressions? Not even Dale Jr.? How about
I am not a criminal.
Oh, I was going to do me too, Junior.
That's pretty good.
Is your impression, or is your, not your impression, but is your perception, is that better?
Sure.
You do perceptions?
I do perceptions.
That Junior has to, the attitude leads the performance?
100%, no question about it.
So he could have the world's greatest car, but if he's in a dour mood, that's for Junior, that's a deal breaker.
Pretty much.
And you got to believe, too, that there's a back and a forth. You know, if I feel better and I get my cars a little better, then I feel better, and the cycle can go the other way, too. The other part of this, I think, is not just Steve Letarte and his attitude, but coming into a shop, a race shop that functions as well as what is now the 4888 shop. I mean, there's a whole attitude that whole organization has in a way of doing things. It's a well-oiled machine. I asked Steve Letarte about Junior coming in, and he said, I asked him, are you going to kind of fit Junior more, or is he going to have to fit into your system? And he was definite. He's fitting into our system. That's how it's going to work. And it has worked.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Well, you really want to take a look at this article by Matt Crossmant on sportingnews.com.
Or as we like to call him, Cross Daddy.
I like to call him Crossmania.
Crosstown traffic?
That's good.
Nice.
That's good. Really want to take a look at it. We'll have more with Matt later on.
Rowdy.com. Say it like it is.
Say what like it is?
Rowdy.com.